Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making butter mochi. And butter mochi is a treat in Hawaii that is very popular, especially during the new year. We're going to start off and we're going to be using 5 eggs. So we're going to be putting it into a medium-sized bowl. This is the wet ingredients that we're going to be using right now. And we are also going to be using 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're going to be adding 3 cups of whole milk. Now, some people use 1 cup of coconut milk. They substitute 1 cup of coconut milk, but I don't really like the coconut taste, so I'm using 3 cups of whole milk. We're going to be mixing this together. We want to make sure that none of the egg yolks are, intact. We just want to make sure that everything is fully combined and mixed together. What we want it to look like is something like this at the end. So once we get it to this stage, we're going to just put it on the side and we're going to be working on our dry ingredients. So we're going to need 1 box of mochiko flour, and mochiko flour, you can find this at any Asian grocery store. We're going to be using 1 pound of mochiko, or the entire box actually. So we're going to be putting that into a large mixing bowl. Our next ingredient is sugar. We're going to need 2.5 cups of granulated sugar. It seems kind of like a lot, but it actually does work to sweeten the mochi. And then we're going to be using 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So we're going to be mixing that together just with a regular spoon. We want to make sure that all the ingredients are combined before we add all the wet ingredients to it. We want to make sure that there's no clumps and that everything is combined and kind of looks like this. Then we're going to be adding our wet ingredients to this. What we want is we want to have it a very smooth consistency, so we want to make sure that we mix it really well. We don't want any clumps of any mochiko flour or any clumps of the dry ingredients. So we're probably going to mix it a while until it looks something like this. That's kind of what we want. And then after that, we're going to be adding 1/2 cup of melted butter. Now, adding the butter at this late stage is actually, to me, a little harder because you actually have to incorporate it really well, or else there are going to be pockets of mochi that are going to be bubbling up or going to be baking a little higher than the others. So you're going to have to mix this really well into the already mixed wet ingredients. You want to make sure that all the butter is off the sides and that it's not pooling anywhere. You want to make sure that everything is completely incorporated. And we want to make sure it kind of looks like this, where there are no traces of the actual melted butter and everything is just one homogeneous mixture of batter. Then we're going to get a greased 9x13 pan and we're going to be putting our mixture in there so that we can bake it. It looks like a lot and it also looks kind of thin. I was a little worried the first time I made this because the batter was so thin, but that's kind of how it's supposed to be, so don't worry. So we're going to be baking it in a preheated 350-degree oven for about an hour. What we want is the tops to kind of look brown like this, and we want to completely cool down the butter mochi before we cut it. But there you go. There's your butter mochi. Thank you very much for watching.